All right, it's 8:02 and I'm about 1 minute away from being in my home office, but let's start with any discussion of topics from the last meeting. If anybody wants to cover anything, this would be a good time, or I have questions about our last gathering. This would be a good time to do that. I believe Lauren's on, so if you put your hand up or you want to say something, she'll be able to tell. If nobody has any questions about the last meeting or anything. I do have on the agenda that we're going to talk about that one-day membership that we have. I know I keep saying this, but we are pretty much ready to go with it. So we were trying to get it in place to pilot it on Arena Club, but we didn't quite have the insurance details locked in yet. But if your club is interested in starting with the one-day membership, we'd be happy to have you do it. We'd probably ideally really like to pilot it with a few clubs before we roll it out widely, make sure we can, if there are any kinks we need to work out, we can do that. So if anybody in this call, if you're an Arena Club and you have some summer events and you're interested in trying the one-day membership, I know the club that was interested in doing it, they were an Arena Club and particularly interested in having this extra insurance. But please reach out to Lauren or I if you think your club would be interested in doing it. There's sort of a broader insurance discussion that we'll be having related to the one day and our other coverages as well. We'll probably review all of them sometime in the next year to make sure we're getting the most value for what we have. Insurance costs, as you know, keep going up. But would love to pilot it somewhere over the summer, see what kind of uptake you get, see how many people take advantage, for instance, of the online store discounts, and we'll go from there. All right, I am going to make the move. I'm going to move into my home office here, so give me just a second. This is a good opportunity for all of you to network without having to listen to me.
I think we should wait. Dean, since we have a second, I'm gonna do some self-promotion. In about 5 minutes ago, our registration. In 55 minutes, registration for the first ever Tahoe Tessie Women's 5 and Under National Qualifier will open. So, and in 55 minutes, set your alarm and everybody start registering.
Fantastic. Love it, Eric. Thanks for bringing that forward. And I know you guys are also getting ready for the Slam in Tahoe, so you're busy out there.
We've been putting some time into that, and we'll share with you. We've got our volunteer questionnaire put together, and we're going to publish that sometime this weekend. And we're getting real good response from our members in MOPAC, but we extend the invitation to all our friends across the United States to come visit us in Lake Tahoe and volunteer or come watch the Grand Slam.
And then go directly from the Grand Slam to the USA Curling or the Olympic trials in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So you can have just you can see half the country this way.
We are renting a party bus to take people from Tahoe to the trials with stops along the way.
Now I don't believe you, Eric. I was with you for most of the way, but now I don't believe you. I do love that idea, though. That would be an epic reality show or something. So,
that's Leonetic idea for sure.
Yeah, I like it. He pulls it off, I'd be excited. So, all right. So, yeah, Jeremy bringing up, it sounds, they used to do that. All the teams used to travel in Canada to the Brier on a train. You can imagine what kind of condition the players were when they arrived. And so it was, that's legendary stuff. So a couple things I'll kick off here. So members assembly, we're going to be releasing the programming, but we are this week, but we're going to have 2 officiating clinics, a level 2 course conductor clinic. We're having a 5 and under, a skills and development session for 5 and under curlers exclusively. And we're also having the coaching course that we did last year, the level 2 coaching course will be offered there as well. We also have on Saturday night, we'll do the Hall of Fame induction for Rich Lepping at the hotel. And then on Friday evening, we'll have our members meeting. And that's something for all of you to make sure your club is on board with and getting the communications they need to either carry the votes as a club or separate them out individually. We're ahead of that on where we were last time. But by the way, I think the agenda in the meeting is incorrect. So hopefully use the one that's in your email. But so yeah, so things kick off with we're planning officiating starting Friday afternoon like we did last year in Minnesota, and then we'll do the members meeting. We'll do programming throughout the weekend. Now, the thing I'd love to tell everybody about too is Vegas does have their fabulous Vegas Bonspiel underway at the same time. Would love to have people play in that. I don't know if Brad Whitlock's on or not, but we're working with Brad and the Curl Vegas folks to try to make the draw as such that people will be able to participate in some of the members assembly programming. We have a great rate at the Orleans Hotel, which has been the host of some world championships and continental cups. You can find that link in the release about the members assembly on our website. And we're filling out the full page on that as well. But yeah, it's a really good rate. And we're working on shuttles running from the hotel to the club. So if you do play in the Spiel, stay at the hotel, may not even have to rent a car, wouldn't have to worry about Uber or who's the designated driver. So that's all coming together. We'll have more details on that really quickly, actually. By the end of the week, we should have some stuff up on the website and working with the hotel on some other things that we'll do. Most of the off-ice portions of the members assembly program will be at the hotel. Anything on ice will go over to the club. I also think it's a great opportunity to support Curl Vegas. As some of you know, this is their second year, I guess, of operation. New club, new market, really working hard to make it work. So if we can help them fill the Bonspiel, help them make it a successful weekend, that would be great. I did already do the one-day curler update. Yeah, Robert Volunteer of the Year is being the final voting or the final determination of the winner is underway right now. We'll announce that probably, I don't know if Jenna Berchesky's on because she manages that, but we'll announce that in the next week or so, and then we will present that at the members assembly. So whoever is the volunteer of the year should have plenty of time to plan their travel. But thanks for bringing that up, Robert. I don't know if anybody noticed on the social media today and on our site, we announced a new thing called the Regions Cup, which we're excited about. It's going to be a cumulative points event among all the regions competing in our regionally based championships. So at the end of the year, so those will be Arena Nationals in Vegas in October, U18 Nationals at Rock Creek, Club Nationals, which will be in Chaska this year, and the mixed fours. Those are the 4 regional based national championships. We think it's kind of exciting to add a Regions Cup. So the region that gets the most points throughout those, and we'll award points for every finish if you read the release. So if you finish for example, and I'm not exactly sure how we'll do the points yet, but if you finish ninth, you'll get a certain amount of points. If you finish first, you'll get a certain amount of points. And you'll see on our release, we have ways to determine if there's 2 teams from one region and only one team will get points. But yeah, excited to try it, excited to sort of honor the regions and make it a little more interesting. It also, we think, credit to our board chair, came up with this tagline of every game matters. So if you are in a national championship representing a region, even if it's the last game of the round robin and maybe you're not going to make the playoffs, your game could still matter for the region's cup. We will have some fundraising emails going out shortly to, we're trying to replace our equipment trailer. If anybody has seen our trailer parked at events, you know, it has everything we use to make ice, typically in the arena setting, but we also will bring it to certain events when it makes sense and it's financially reasonable. But the trailer's fairly old, and I know Sean Olison is not a huge fan of that trailer, and sometimes it keeps me awake at night wondering what will happen if it rolls away one day behind a tractor trailer. So we have a plan to do some fundraising to try to replace that. It's not a budgeted expense. We're also going to offer people a chance to put their names on it as well. So look for news on that. A club could also, if they want to be a part of that, it could certainly be a club as well. The trailer we're looking at is a used trailer. We're not buying the Cadillac of trailers or the Rolls Royce of trailers or whatever metaphor you want to use, but it will be a big improvement. I had a host site need here for Last Chance Qualifier. We actually closed that out today. We have a host site for the Last Chance Qualifier. I probably shouldn't share that until we get the memo of understanding squared away and make sure it's all locked. But excited about that. That happened just this morning. We have 3 clubs considering junior mixed doubles nationals qualifier Bonspiels. We need 1 more of those. 1 qualifier Bonspiel will be the CK Cup, which is run for the past 2 years in Duluth over Thanksgiving weekend. We're looking for 1 other one to qualify 4 more teams out of. So hopefully we'll be able to announce that shortly, and that would pretty much close out our sites for next season. And we're also likely to announce our 2027 and possibly 2028 men's and women's nationals sites next week. And then last thing, I'm not going to go deep into our FY26 budget. I will just give everybody here on this call some heads up on the financials. Next year is going to be a challenging year. We have, you know, the Olympics are not inexpensive. We have had a funding reduction with the USOPC that we are managing. We are projecting a small surplus this year or last year or next year. And I will say also that it looks as though we'll have a surplus, small surplus, not huge, but a small surplus at the end of this fiscal year. We're closing out that now. So on that last point, I think is a positive direction for the organization. I think it's no secret that we had some challenges coming out of COVID and the last Olympics when I stepped in. So we seem to be heading in the right direction, which is exciting, which will make me happy. And, you know, I think I'm actually a believer in the fact that we should never have huge amounts of money stored away, but we certainly would like to get to where we have some kind of reserve fund. I'm a big believer that there's a limit to what we want in a reserve fund, but we would like to have a reserve fund, and we're working towards that. So the budget, by the way, is with the Finance Audit Committee, should be approved at the July meeting by the board, hopefully, and we'll move forward from there. But that's some of the things going on here in the summer. I don't have a whole lot apart from that. Pan-Continentals as well. I'll throw that in here too. We're hosting that, as many of you know, up in Minnesota. at the end of October. We have exciting news about a title sponsor for that event that will be announced on Tuesday. So we've been really pleased by the reception, how warmly that event has been received by the people in the Iron Range, and are grateful to Kurl Masabi and the Kurl Masabi Foundation for all the work they put into helping us make that successful. Artie from Kurl Masabi, Craig Doty, Shannon, if they've just been great to work with. So much appreciation to them. I don't know if any of them are on, but we really do appreciate the work they've done to make that come together. So with that, I'll stop and open it up to anyone. Again, I apologize for being just a couple minutes late. Like I said, I miss a lot of my son's baseball games in the spring, so I try to make as many as I can now, and this one ran a little late. Yeah, Jim, we can do that. Let's get this, our men's and women's nationals locked in, and then we can release. I think it's actually a great idea. We should have on our site, and we've circulated this before, but the sites that we have for the next few years, and then probably just fill them in on the website would be a good thing to do. And if Frogtown wants to host something in 27 or 28, Jim, just let me know. There's the Tahoe Tessie registration. I think Lauren put in, our Lauren Rich put in a link to the members assembly that all of you can look at. That's sort of a first look at it. And I'm going to share it from the release where you can find the hotel deal. How many clubs have their calendars set for next year? I'm going to guess most of you. Anybody who doesn't?
I can just chime in here for a second. I think
Sure.
we're seeing a lot of interest in clubs hosting instructor courses leading up ahead of the Olympics. That's really great that everybody wants to get a bunch of instructors trained to be teaching and handling all of the Learn to Curls and corporate events that are going to be coming. I'm trying to work with Jenna and plan a social media post probably sometime in August that will hopefully draw some more attention to having these classes. So if you don't have one already and you want to have one, you can let me know and we can get that signed up or set up so that you'll be on that list. Hopefully if we can get a social media post out in the summer, letting people know that this stuff is going on.
Yeah, we're excited to, we know in an Olympic year, there's more demand to have instructors, and we have Lauren, has worked pretty hard to develop our course conductor roster. So it's made it a little easier than when I started my previous position in 21, 22, it was hard just to put clinics on because we didn't have enough course conductors. So that training should pay off this year. Has anybody been to a summer spiel this year? Phil, Bruce, I don't know if Phil's on, he might be making ice for their summer spiel coming up. And Lawrence just put the request, that in the request for courses. Actually, this is for instructor course on our member info programming in the chat. So yeah, I guess a July meeting we don't have quite as much to talk about. One thing, if it comes up, and I think it's pretty clear in the Slow Coach content platform, but to access the coach programming in in slow coaching, the coach group, you do need a coach membership, coach or higher. So you could be, certainly don't want to discourage you from getting a silver or gold membership, but coach or higher to access that content. So I know there's been a few requests that have come across where people haven't had those. There is a message that goes out, but if you hear of anybody in your club who's confused about that, that's as soon as they do the upgrade, they're eligible to access that content. And really the reality of it is, it's just that, there's costs involved creating content, putting it on there. So we want to reserve it for the people who spend a little bit of extra money on the coach membership. It's an extra $25. It does provide the background screen that you'll need. So the background screen, I think, is about $30. So you don't need it every year, but it does in year one provide some savings. I'll ask this quick. Does anybody on this call, if you're not on your board, does your board reach out to you for information, or do you provide it back? I know some of you are probably on your club boards, but if you're not, I'm just sort of interested in how club boards are accessing what goes on in these meetings. Oh, terrific, Ann. Yeah.
Yep, I was just going to say the same thing. I am on the board, and so I take the information from these meetings back to our board meetings as well.
Great. I would say that we could use an AI note taker and provide a summary, but one thing that's been discussed at some of the USOPC meetings I've been in is that people think there's a reluctance that it puts a damper on some meetings when there's an AI note taker. So there's actually a trend to not have an AI note taker all the time. So, but appreciate that if you're doing it, and certainly appreciate all of you who are on this call. We've got 38 people on this call, probably not bad for a July call, but that puts you among the most dedicated, I'm sure. So. All right, I don't want to keep everybody if there are no other questions or concerns, or if there's, again, I already had one good idea here from Jim. So if anybody else has ideas on things we can do, happy to hear them, as long as they don't involve at this point $1 million. Maybe some point we'll be okay with that, but we are, like I said, I mentioned the Pan Continental and those sponsorships. It'd be great if we can turn some of those people into longer term sponsors of USA Curling, but continue to be active on it. And I don't think there's not a week that goes by when we're not in some sort of sponsor meeting or communicating with potential sponsors. So we have some really good ones, and we keep trying to add more. Anybody on from Charlotte, by the way? I don't know is there anybody from Charlotte on? Just for people who don't know, we have a pretty busy season in Charlotte. We'll have our pre-trials there in September, and then we have our men's and women's nationals there starting the day after the Olympic Games close. So we're excited to do that. And Dale's, they have 2 breweries, and one is near Asheville, North Carolina. So they're excited about the Charlotte event as well. So if you can't get to the Olympics and you can't get to the trials and you haven't been to the fine city of Charlotte, I would recommend a trip there. It's a good clubs, it's a great curling community between Charlotte and Triangle. The 2 of them are not the same community, but they're both great. So.
Can I ask a quick question, Dean?
For sure, Phil.
So I tried to access our house earlier today. And it was unavailable. Is that going away because of the slow coach integration?
Well, did you access it from our site, Phil?
I used an old bookmark, so it's possible that I just didn't use the right thing.
Yeah. So what you should do is go to member info on our site and click on member resources, our house, and that will take you to the slow coach platform. You're probably at a bookmark from when we were on the mobile coach platform. So now that we've move to
Okay, so I
that.
guess that's kind of my question. So our house is going into slow coach. So kind of this.
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Okay, that was my question. All right, cool.
we
Thanks.
just changed the platform, which like a lot of people, I have no shortage of platform fatigue, but we think long term it's going to be a more dynamic, interesting platform to use. We still have a lot of work to do to build it out, but there's certainly more we can do on that.
All right, thank you.
We're also just, and credit to Lauren for working hard on this, but we're going to start use Activity Messenger, who we're using as a platform for the one-day membership. We're also moving away from Wufoo to start using forms with Activity Messenger. And as we've all noticed, I don't know if anybody uses Wufoo elsewhere, but the forms do sort of look like 2004. So I think this will be an upgrade with Activity Messenger, and so far their customer success team has been really great. And somehow Lauren has managed, I think, continues to wrestle with Sport 80 to where I think it's a much better process than it was a year ago and definitely 3 years ago. So
I did recently, this is kind of a nerdy thing that I found in Sport 80. If you guys go to myusacurling.com, after you log in, on the menu on the left now, there's a new menu item under where it says like account, members, competitions, courses, etc. At the bottom of that, it says resources. So I've been writing some guides, like competition registration guide. I think I have a couple FAQ sessions in there. So if you guys have questions about anything, how to use anything in Sport 80 or myusacurling.com, you can hopefully check there and find your answer. Otherwise, you can just keep reaching out to me. But hopefully that makes it a little bit clearer, having those instructions kind of at your fingertips. And there's a few more things that I need to be adding to that as well. But that was an exciting thing that I discovered a couple of weeks ago.
there you go for everybody who's if you're a Sport 80 nerd, something else to explore on Sport 80. So I will say one tricky thing I just had, I was due for my safe sport training expired. You have to do the refresher. So I did that. It's a little, you just have to make sure you go to access the training up top. That was I went below, tried to click on the course I needed. It is pretty straightforward, but for me, slightly less intuitive for just a few seconds, but I finished the core refresher training. So hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining. We'll see you in September. I did read the blue info box, Lauren. I'm just saying I am a good test case. So it worked. I got through it. I managed. I'm not the worst with this stuff, but I will say I'm not the best. I'm average. So yeah, with that, I think I'll give everybody a half an hour back unless you have more to add. Look for some of these things in the next week, including the members assembly, more information on that. Again, if you're talking to curlers in your club, would really love to support Curl Vegas. Probably one of the more interesting places to go and curl. I'm excited to be there. Not that I can't remember actually the last time I was in Las Vegas. It was a number of years ago, but I'm excited to go there, and supporting that club is great. They've also been really good about hosting events, both for us, MOPAC, and others. So, and sign up for the women's 5 and under out in Lake Tahoe, which is a pretty great place to go as well. Thanks, everybody. Feel free to reach out outside of this at any time. And again, with ideas, happy to get all of them. Thanks.